Hey everyone, welcome back to Software Testing Mentor and RCV Academy. Today I'm here with Mohit Kumar for the manual testing and SQL mock interview for 2.5-year experience candidate. Mohit is already working in software testing field, so the questions will be a little bit up to 2 to 3 years experience level. So welcome Mohit, how are you?
I am good, sir. Thank you for inviting me on this platform. And what about you, sir?
I'm good. Thanks Mohit. Thank you for asking. So Mohit, before we proceed, I would like to mention that this video is getting recorded and will be posted for other viewers. Are you fine with that?
Yes, I am fine with this
Okay.
decision.
Okay, great. All right. So Mohit, quickly, can you tell me something about your professional background, like how your journey has been?
Yes. Myself, Mohit Kumar, and I have completed BTech in 2019 Computer Science Engineering from Noida. And then I joined with System Private Limited as software engineer. And I have completed multiple projects. Just like my first project is JIRA, Real Estate Regulatory Authority. Government of Gujarat. Then second project is PI Industries. It is Docker system. And then third is Bank of Tokyo, MEFG, and its linked application and banking domain application. And fourth is Providence Brokerage, and it's e-commerce site, and it's St. Joseph Health Insurance project. And I am currently working on multiple projects of ONGC, just
Right.
like ONGC Bandhan, ONGC India, and all.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that in your resume.
And my work and role responsibility is write a test case and execute a test case
Mhm.
and testing the web application and manage the resource and all.
Right. Okay. So these are sort of, like your base day-to-day responsibilities. And in terms of your development approach, what is followed in your projects? What development approaches?
Development process is just like using some technology and some languages, just like Angular and React and Java microservices and API and DB database.
So these
We
are the technologies you are mentioning towards like the approach, whether it's agile or waterfall or V model, what
agile.
agile is followed. Okay.
Follow the agile because agile is reliable. Agile follow the parallel approach and simultaneously approach development and testing approach. So it's reliable for me and it's not time taking, just like waterfall and V model and all.
Right. Okay. So what from past 2.5 years experience, what advantages do you see of agile over waterfall in terms of testing and overall quality of the product?
Yes. Waterfall is just like a fixed and static strategy for the testing because it's not add in a new requirement in waterfall system, and it's not a communication for stakeholder and vendor for new requirement in our application and software product. But in agile format, we will add the new requirement and we will add the initial requirement and we will add the actual requirement and actual functionality in our application for the security purpose and for the validation purpose and for the verification purpose. But waterfall model, this type of sources and approaches are not allowed in application and in system.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I mean, partially I would say yes, you are correct. But biggest sort of advantage, what I feel is, like you mentioned, that ability to accept the changes in between. Uh,
Yes, ability to expect.
and then the other thing is that the collaboration that is there,
Yes,
agile development approach, everyone in the
yes,
team is on
yes,
the same page. So
yes,
that
same.
is better, that due to that collaboration and working together, the overall quality of product is much better as
Yes,
compared to the approaches that we had. And the cost of fixing defect is very low.
yes,
There
yes,
are shorter cycles, right? Okay, great.
yes.
You have mentioned about the RTM. What exactly is RTM?
RTM means requirement traceability matrix. RTM is the detailed document, and RTM is a very beneficiary document for the testing team and development team
Mhm.
because RTM follow the some attributes for the find the and record to the number of find the bugs, number of resource, and what is the consumption of our resource and bug fixing time, and what will be the complete and what is the status of current software testing status. And it is the very useful document for resource evaluation and product evaluation and talent evaluation of tester and status maintain the status of product and software.
Right. Okay. So a lot of things you have covered there, but at the crux of it, RTM is In very simple terms, the more simple you will keep your answer, the
Yes,
better it is. So it's basically mapping the requirements to your test case
mapping
to
the
the
requirement.
defect and
Yes.
backward and forward traceability.
Yes, yes, objective. Just like requirement is objective, what is
Right.
the objective of
Yes.
RTM, and
Yes.
what is the resource handling in this
Absolutely.
project,
Yes.
and status, and what is the total number of bugs, and its
Absolutely.
attributes. Okay, sir.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Yes. So basically, it can be mapping from top to down, from requirement to the defect and
Yes, top to, yes,
bottom
yes,
to.
bottom
Uh,
to up.
yeah. So usually, like,
Yes.
how did you created it? Was it through the tool or you had some Excel to create it?
Excel, because I have also knowledge about attributes. Then I
Okay.
will create in Excel with attributes of RTM.
Right. Wasn't it a overhead? Like it's sort of an extra effort. You maintain it in Excel. Are you aware of like which tool do you use in your project for test management?
No, sir, no, sir. Here only for working on manual approaches and manual tools and Google
Okay.
Sheets.
So only like Google Sheets, and that's how you maintain all your test cases and everything.
Yes. Test cases, bug tracking, and RTM and test plan.
Right. Okay. So there is a high possibility that you can promote some of the, like, not promote, I would say, be a sort of a person who guides the team to install some of the or use some of the open source tools for test management, right?
Because in this modern era, we need to
Yeah.
some new technology and
Yeah.
some automation technology for reduced to time consumption and better for future in this project.
Yeah. So that's what will be good. But yes, currently you are maintaining on Excel sheet, which is very
Very,
raw form, but it is
very
hectic.
hectic and yes,
Right.
and
Yeah.
pressurized
That's
form.
correct. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. So, what do you understand by unit testing? This is very basic question, but I want to understand from
Yes,
2.5
yes,
years
yes,
experience person,
yes,
what is
yes,
unit
yes.
testing?
Unit testing, first phase of testing is called unit testing, and we follow some approaches for unit testing. Unit testing means we got the first phase and first build for the testing, then first development phase when you will test, then it's called unit testing. Unit
Right.
testing is basic testing and starting phase of testing, and it's initial state of testing, and it's correlated to first circle and first circumstance of testing.
Right. Okay. And who usually performs unit testing? Is it tester or
Yes, it's a very common question and it's very logical and minded question. Unit testing first need to test developer, because first reason is what is the requirement of client,
Mhm.
what will be developed, what we need, and what is the SRS and what is the functional requirement of client. So we need to test by developer that is it correct or not, correct requirement or not. So testing is done by developer,
Right.
and some time and some cases just like no any time for developer for testing these modules and this particular thing. In the case it is done by tester.
Right. Yeah. Very rare, but maybe there are
Very
some
rare,
testers who would
very
keep
rare.
doing it. Yes.
Yes, I already told you
Mhm.
that is exception. That is
Exception. Yes.
exception,
Yes.
because how to consider developer, this is good product or not.
Hmm.
I am developing this product and this software and this application, is it good or not.
That's
This
correct.
is the first validation and first verification part for developer.
That's correct. Yes. Great. All right. So moving on the similar note, what is smoke testing? Have you heard about smoke testing?
Yes, mock testing,
Smoke.
conversation.
Smoke.
Smoke,
Yeah.
okay. Smoke testing.
Yeah.
Smoke testing on the zero date testing. First of all, we get the first build on testing environment.
Hmm.
Then we will check the build. It is good for testing or not. It is reliable for testing or not.
Hmm.
It is user acceptance. It is mandatory for next step testing, and it is need to test because we will check the time consumption. Because without a smoke testing, how to able build and how to able check and verify the build and patches. It is
Hmm.
correct build and it is correct patches or not.
Hmm.
So very needed for a starting phase and zero initial day phase for this type of testing.
Right. Yeah. So basically checking the stability of the build, right? Whether the build that you have got in the testing environment. So the word itself
Yes.
came from the hardware or hardware testing or
Hardware, hardware testing and software.
yeah. So basically when they
Yes,
plug something, if smoke comes out, then that hardware is bad,
smoke.
right? So that's where the term came. So basically same thing for the software. If you launch the application and it crashed itself in the first day or and
Crash.
zero day
Yes,
is something which I
yes,
liked
Zero
that
day.
it's
Yes,
a like,
yes.
yes,
I
whether you
mentioned.
can
I
proceed
mentioned. I
further
already
with
mentioned.
that build or not. That's
After the smoke, we proceed for sanity testing and
yeah,
all day. All.
that's correct. Yeah. Okay. All right. So you have some like
And sorry, sir.
yeah,
And
yeah,
in a smoke testing, we need to check it is stable or not. I mean, 60 to 70% it is stable. Then we will proceed for smoke testing and all.
that's correct. Yeah. Okay. Great. All right. So you would have already worked on test planning and designing little bit, right? So what exactly do you understand by test planning?
I am not working because this type of work is related to test lead and test
Mhm.
manager for test plan. But I have basic knowledge about test plan
Yeah, just the
because
basic.
in this term we use objective and date of test plan and strategy and resource management and time consumption.
Mhm.
And this is the part of test plan. This is good for testing environment and what we will use a test plan and test environment and test strategy and resource which type of
Absolutely.
resource we will use, which type of tools we are use, which types of technology, and what is my time consumption and all
That's correct.
for this particular application, and also using management in this part.
That's correct. Yes. So basically, like the roles, tools,
Roles,
strategy, what you
yes,
are going to follow,
roles,
what you are
tools,
going to test. Yeah.
strategic time consumption and
Yes. Feasibility.
feasibility or not, reliability or not,
Yes.
compatibility or not.
Yes. Yes. So basically, what all you are going to test, how you are going to test, the timelines, who is
Ha,
going to
ha,
test, so all of that.
ha,
So plan,
who
simple,
is,
like
what's my
yeah.
plan and follow the symmetric and protocol.
That's
And
correct.
we need to base resource for this application. Is this
Yeah.
hectic or not? What is the time of this project?
hmm
Then
True.
which type of resource we will choose?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Great. All
Yes.
right. So basic wise, you are okay. You know test plan. That's good. Now coming to test designing, you would have definitely done test designing. So what is test designing and why do you do it?
Test design is mandatory for testing and for test cases and test scenario.
hmm
And it is high level documentary and it is totally related document and it is performed from related document just like SRS and FRS. We are basically using SRS and functional requirement and software requirement and hardware and software. This is using for me and test design is mandatory for test cases and test scenario and further next plan.
That's correct. So basically, from the requirement, you understand what you are going to test,
What you
and basically then converting it to how you are going to test. So
yes.
that's all you do in test designing.
Yes, yes. My answer is just like real environment answer,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
a bookie and not a
yeah,
scripted answer.
yeah. And what are some of the techniques that you have used in test designing?
Design basically normal attributes and normal things, not automation and not
Mhm,
tools we are using.
mhm.
Basically, we are using a format for related designs.
Okay, so did you use any of this like equivalence partitioning to design your test cases
Yes, yes, yes.
or boundary value
Yes, yes.
analysis? How did you
Yes,
use it? Can you
bound.
explain practically in your project, like
Yes, yes,
some
yes, yes.
example?
Okay, okay. Just like boundary value, because we need to input and output 1 to 100 data,
Mm-hmm,
and we are giving output 50 in a part 1 to 100.
mm-hmm,
So I input first of all 1 and 30 and 50,
mm-hmm,
and next we will check the 150 because we are using 1 to 100. Then error is coming and message are coming. It is not a range part. It is not a similar particular part.
right. Any
And
you
if you, yes,
yeah,
yes.
go ahead.
And just like equivalence partitioning part, just
Mhm,
like we are using e-commerce side, then
mhm,
we have three types of percentage for relevant range because
mhm,
we are giving the 10% discount for 1000 rupees.
mhm.
So in this case, we are inputting the 100 rupees, 200 rupees, 300 rupees. Then it is good for provide the 10% discount. Then it is good. And when we will input 1100,
Mm,
then it will wrong.
right.
Then
So
message are coming bad.
yeah, so I
Message are
get a
coming
crux of,
wrong.
like your
Yes, yes, yeah.
crux of it. Have you utilized, because you have done many projects, can you give me in which project you used equivalence partitioning, boundary value analysis to design your test cases? Like you would have used
Uh,
everywhere
uh,
almost, but most recent example is what I'm looking.
yes, yes, because boundary value analysis is a part of beta testing, and beta testing is an acceptance testing and end-to-end testing. And equivalence partitioning we are using in password, in the password and all because we are using the mainly login portal, login and another portal and it. So mainly we are using in this type of boundary value analysis for password and percentage and all things.
Yeah, okay. So beta testing you mentioned, like boundary value analysis is part of the beta testing or user acceptance testing.
Yes, yes.
That's not correct. Basically, boundary value analysis and equivalence partitioning are other techniques.
Techniques.
They are techniques to design the
It is
test
techniques.
cases.
It is techniques. It is
Yeah. So
techniques.
it is not tied to any
It is
specific
techniques. Yes,
phase.
yes.
Uh,
Yes.
yeah.
Not mentioned in any places,
Yeah.
but normal terms.
They are techniques to design your test cases. So basically in test
Techniques.
designing,
Yes.
you use it, right?
Test
So as
design.
you mentioned,
Test
like
design. Test
if
design.
you're testing a percentage module,
No.
discount module, or you are
Percentage model,
testing
discount
something.
model,
Yeah. So
password
you
and
will,
all.
yeah,
Yes.
you will mainly use these sort of techniques.
Uh,
And
uh,
every application
that,
you buy, knowing or
uh,
unknowingly, you use these
uh,
techniques to reduce.
just like accountancy,
Yeah.
accountancy and data analyze project.
Right. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. So what do you understand by showstopper defect? Have you heard about showstopper?
Yes, so the stopper means it is not working, and it is defined for criticality of bug. It is defined for what is the critical of bug.
Mm-hmm.
So we are using Soja Stopper. Just example, we are clicking on any link, then link is not working.
Mm-hmm.
Then it means it is Soja Stopper. So it is defined as bug criticality.
Mm-hmm. Right. So basically, showstopper is basically stopping the show, as the name suggests. So the whole testing, if stops because of that critical defect, you can't proceed
Just
even
like
with
so,
any other workaround. Then that's a
just like
showstopper.
yes, just like Soja Stopper, high, medium, low.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we are using and mention the seat. It is
Mm-hmm.
major attributes in bug tracking seat.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, why do we call it showstopper? Because it is blocking your testing. So
Blocker.
you
Yes,
can't proceed. So mention this, that
you can't proceed for
showstopper defect is a,
next step.
yes. Showstopper defect is a
Def-
defect which blocks your further testing. Okay.
so it's called a defect severity.
Yes. So basically, in the severity, you will be putting it as
Severity.
a
Yes,
critical, right? So
critical.
yeah. All right. Let's move
Or
on to.
yeah, so the stopper is critically. Critical is the actual requirement. A hamper for business requirement, and
Mhm.
so the stopper is defined for critical of bug and situation of bug.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to some of the database questions. SQL. You have mentioned SQL as well. So, what do you understand by database? What is database?
Database is the management system and a storage system and it is working for updation and deletion. It is follow to CRUD system.
Hmm.
Read, delete, update.
Hmm.
Just like
Right. So basically,
so.
organized
This is called
collection of
database.
data, right? So,
Organized collection of data. Yes,
right,
yes.
is a database. Yeah. Okay.
It is called database.
And what language is used very commonly, like to access the data within the databases?
Mainly in the database development and all. I have no knowledge about
Mhm.
database technology development strategy and development code. But maybe the database is using C language.
No, that's, I mean, how database is developed, that's a separate thing, right? I'm not asking that. But so you have something in the database, there is a
Okay,
data.
okay, okay,
How do
okay,
you access it?
okay,
Which language is used?
okay. Just like we are using a software, we are using a software. And then we will enter a user ID. We will use login and login case and enter the user ID and enter the password. Then click on login button. Will be direct to on server page to
Mhm.
backend.
Mhm.
It means backend. And then link will be checked data is correct or not in database and just like backend side Java and all another technology.
Yeah.
Agar data is available in database, then will be direct. Else uh, coming error messages on screen
Mhm.
uh, uh, and coming error messages on screen. This is not verified user ID and
Mhm.
password.
Okay.
And
So yeah, I didn't stop you because you mentioned a couple of good things that around this, how the login and things work overall, the understanding. But what I was looking here is which programming language like if I have to access some data on my console. You have mentioned about SQL, right? What exactly will SQL do? Structured query language to fetch.
If,
I want to fetch the data. I want to get the data from the database.
so it means JDBC, connect, Java connect to database via JDBC. Java database connection via
Yeah.
database Java database connection through. So
Hmm.
then Java creates a connection for database.
Hmm.
Then it is direct communication to database and
Yeah.
backend
That's at
language
the application level, right? That's at the application level. You
application.
have mentioned all the
Yes, yes.
answers, but I want to access, I mean, I want to, from my console, I want to connect to some database as a tester
Uh,
and fetch the.
yes, yes, yes. Okay, okay. Yes, yes, yes. Favorite. Uh, um, in console, we will enter the query.
Mhm,
Query. Just like we have a database already created a database. Then I need to test. Then I will go on database. Yeah, go to database
mhm,
and open the terminal. Yeah, open the terminal.
mhm.
Yeah, open the tab and enter the query because we need to some data for particular table.
So
Then we will
which language is this query?
we are using query just like query database query
SQ,
using a
is it
query
SQL?
SQL query SQL query SQL
Okay.
query.
All right. Yeah,
My,
that's what.
we are using SQL query. Is
Mhm,
select a star from a
mhm.
table name.
Yeah,
In the case we need to particular data, when we will use where clause.
right.
Select a star from this table.
Mhm,
This table where where column name is equal
mhm.
to column name. Then we will run for this query and
Yeah,
data is available. Then data will come
right. Yes.
on
Yeah.
console.
Yeah, so that's what I was asking, basically, like which query language you'll use. So you'll use SQL
Database
to
query,
fetch the
database,
data.
SQL query,
You
SQL query.
explained all of the advanced concepts. So don't go into the advanced details about JDBC, how the application is going to
Okay,
connect. That's
okay,
good
no.
in
SQL
terms of your
query,
knowledge, but you
yes,
have
yes.
to
SQL query,
basically make sure that all your basic things are covered
yes,
first before
SQL.
you get into the advanced. Okay.
We are
All
using
right.
SQL.
Yeah. Okay. So within SQL, what is the primary key? Have you heard about primary key?
Primary key is the unique key, but a primary key is not accepted null value.
Mm-hmm,
Because primary key is always hold data, always
mm-hmm,
hold data,
mm-hmm.
not no accepted any null data.
Right.
But
Yes.
in the another term, unique data, unique key means it is unique key, but accept the null value.
Right.
Just like candidate key and foreign key,
Mm-hmm.
uh, just like.
Right. Yes.
In the primary key, it is not null value,
Mm-hmm.
and it is unique. That's called primary key.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Great. All right. So I think that's good, Mohit. Do you have any questions for me, or we'll go to the feedback?
No, sir. No any question because I am a learner and I am learning for advanced technology and for automation.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because we need to we need to survive for in the testing environment. So
Mm-hmm.
we need to learn automation testing and performance testing
Mm-hmm.
and UI being and Selenium JMeter ETL
Yeah.
for the future Selenium Java driver with Selenium.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to learn more advanced technology and
Yeah.
more new technology for
Right.
testing environment and on build up my skill. And
Right.
these are build up.
Great. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's good, Mohit. So I think I based on what I asked you today, I got some very to the point answers, and some answers were not very clear in terms of you are not able to explain. You know things, but you are not able to explain and articulate those things very clearly. Okay, so
Yes, yes.
this is one of the feedback that I have. The next feedback is that you think that you need to explain advanced things a lot, like you entered into the JDBC and you entered into the how the UI is getting connected to the database and all of that. So
Yes, yes.
which I understood, but then not not necessarily it is required, you go into those sort of
Okay,
advanced
okay.
answers
Yes, yes.
upfront. You start with basic, you articulate your answer basic well, and then you go ahead and proceed further. Okay.
Okay,
uh,
okay, okay. Thank you, sir.
yeah, the other thing is, make sure that you are able to articulate, you practice the answers that you are going to, because most of the questions are very common in terms of testing space. So you have to articulate those well so that when you are explaining, then it is clear in first go. Okay, so that's the sort of feedback, but otherwise it's okay. And practice, I would say practice, work a little bit on your communication skill as well. It's
Okay, okay.
understandable, it's not like it is not understandable. I don't have any issues as such, but then many places, uh, if you have to work with some international clients and have to
Yes,
communicate,
yes, yes.
then it
Yes, I
might,
understood.
then you have to work a little bit on that. So in terms of knowledge, you okay, you are good, like no issues there. You just keep learning on that, but then you have to learn how to present your knowledge in a way that
Yes,
is right,
yes.
and don't go into too much advanced things upfront. All right, and
Okay.
learn the basics, learn how answer the basics first, and then go
Yes,
ahead with the advanced. Okay.
yes,
the the other thing is your resume is okay, but then work on it a little bit, like a format. I see different format on different pages, different font sizes on different pages. Okay, so just correct that, but rest is all okay. Okay.
okay, sir.
All right, thanks Mohit, it was
Thank you,
a
sir.
pleasure talking to you.
Yes, yes, yes. Same here, sir. Same here.
Have a
And I
nice day.
am very good. Same to you,
Thank you.
sir.
Have a
I
nice
am
day.
happy and blessed, sir. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir.
Thanks. Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you.